Oh my gosh, you guys, have you seen A Quiet Place yet? If not, it is totally worth the watch. I'm actually going to do a talking through for this really soon. It's pretty mild for a horror movie and very light on the jump scares, but spoiler alert, the concept is that there are these monsters who basically took over the planet and they're blind. They can only detect sounds, which they can hear from what seems like miles away, and that's how they track humans and animals to decimate them. The way the film handles an inability to speak is very intriguing, yet it all gets very maddening when no answers are given. Seriously, we see a few newspapers on the wall that address sound being an issue, but we have no idea what the creatures are or where they came from. Well, being that I love theoretical thinking, I want to try and offer an answer today. Now, the obvious answer is that the monsters came from space since they're all weird and alien-like, but I don't think that notion holds up. They're very primitive beings with no organization or agenda, well, outside of what you might see among predatory animals. They exist to kill things that make noises, period. They aren't holding people ransom or trying to communicate, so flying a spaceship to Earth is out of the question. I could try to argue that these are some military-grade beasts that were released on Earth to clear a way for intelligent aliens, but even though that would make a really cool movie concept, it also seems like a flimsy idea. If that were the case, we would expect to see newspaper articles about the spaceship landing, or otherwise get some sense that a smarter alien is pulling the strings here, and there's just nothing to even hint at that. No aliens are arriving, no one is saying mission accomplished from space, nada. Next, I might try for a zombie-style explanation, where the creatures were manufactured in a lab, got out, and potentially infected others until they mutated. And hey, I'll pat my own back that it's a solid possibility, but again, there's not a scrap of evidence to suggest that's right. It's like these things came from nowhere and then started attacking completely unprovoked. And it was a slow and steady stream of attack, otherwise there wouldn't be papers everywhere detailing what happened. So it's more like a few of them appeared, then scientists started studying them, then they figured out that they were very dangerous and uncontrollable as more and more of them showed up. That's the real kicker here, because if they were aliens or zombie-like creatures, it wouldn't be a slow process when they arrived. Invading aliens would show up in mass force and wipe out humanity in a day. And a zombieism thing would infect other people so quickly that there'd be little time to react in the media. Yet we see headlines like, "It's sound," meaning that people had time to study the creatures, go tell the news outlets, and society was still intact enough to print papers on the subject. So this was definitely a slow boil here, where we, the frogs, didn't realize we were being cooked alive until it was too late to react. And when I rewatched the film, scouring for clues, there was one scene that stuck with me. When the mom is hiding underground and finds the place flooded, the monster is in there searching for life. The way it moved in the water made everything click together. These are not land-based creatures. That's why their limbs are awkward, they have no eyes, and they hunt through sound. Not because they're aliens, but because they're from the deepest parts of the ocean. Just look at how these things are designed. They have thick skin, perfect to avoid extreme amounts of moisture, plus there's a ton of pressure at the bottom of the ocean, and their design is very compact. No frilly or showy features to attract mates, and even when they open up their heads to expose their ears, they show that they can make this very large opening, almost like it's difficult for them to expose their ears where they're from. Also, they have no hair, which cuts down on water resistance. It's dark down there, so no need for eyes, just sonar detection. And sure, they don't have visible fins or flippers, but it's not very easy to move around down there, so perhaps they've evolved beyond a circulatory system to where they don't have to breathe, so they expend less energy and don't eat as often, meaning they don't have to swim as often. Don't forget they also have giant teeth with no mouth or other covering, which is awesome if you sit still for long periods of time and then snap at something moving by. Before you call me totally crazy, keep in mind that we know more about outer space than we do about our own oceans. Bizarre or believed to be extinct things wash up all the time. So is it really that that hard to imagine that these monsters came from below instead of above? It fits in so perfectly with the rest of the film. They can swim really well. They didn't take over very quickly because a few of them surfaced, then went home and beckoned the rest of their kind to follow them up to the surface. That's also why they don't bother with the water. They're from the ocean and either don't like fresh water, or they think they already know all about aquatic life, so they leave it alone. Then they learn to be outrageously fast on land because they're used to moving under extreme amounts of pressure. And that time spent on the ocean to land learning curve is probably when they were being studied and reported on. Once they found their land legs, it was all over. Remember, they don't use smell, sight, or seem to have any immediate need to feed, as in none of them act like they're starving, and they squash that raccoon out of malice. And they use that sonar-style system to hunt. Not to mention they have ridiculously longer forearms. Usually in nature, a four-legged creature with shorter limbs in the front are designed to stand on two legs for short periods of time, so that way they could stand on their back legs and reach a higher food source. But something with longer limbs in the front would be more suited to climbing or swimming. So these are ocean-based beings, and when a meteorite hit Mexico with the force of a nuclear bomb, it disrupted their habitat, forcing them to move upwards to dry land. And once one of them was able to do it, they all came up and took over simply because they could. These are creatures that can be killed with a shotgun, so there's no way that this newspaper describing this meteorite impact is what brought enough aliens to take out the population of the Earth, because they're not that strong and they would have died on impact. So being water-based makes the most sense. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.